If you follow me for a while, you might know that I used to be a quite big romantasy and romantic fantasy fan, but after a couple of bad apples and when I began to expand my taste and the genres I was reading, I strayed a little bit farther from romantasy and I didn't really read much of it in the past couple of months. So in this video, I wanted to try and give romantasy another go. I want to pick up another romantasy and see how I'm faring with it, if I'm missing it a little bit, because to be honest, I kind of am. Romantasy can be so fun, so I can't wait to get into this book. I actually started the book yesterday and I picked The Dagger and the Flame. I have heard amazing things about it online, so obviously my expectations are a little bit high. I do have to say, when I started this, the writing style was a little bit YA. It did feel a little bit young. It felt a little bit like we're getting told everything we need to know and not shown. Certain rules and history of like the magic system was just told to us. It was a little bit of a hurdle I had to get through, but I am having quite a bit of fun. I'm not that far in. I'm 80 pages in, so barely scratched the surface, but we begin with Seraphine. Seraphine lives on the outskirts of this big city phantom, which is ruled by shade magic, and shade magic is controlled by two guilds, the cloaks and the daggers. The daggers ingest the shade magic, which is a powder, a black powder that allows them to be very quick, be very strong, and basically hide inside the shadows and jump through them and travel really fast. And the cloaks only wear the shade magic on themselves, which allows them to conceal themselves and be able to steal things. But our main character, Seraphine, lives with her mother on the outskirts of this town, and her mother is a distributor of this shade magic because she's able to wield it and contain it and just work with it, but she's not supposed to ingest it or do anything like that with it. And on the first night that we meet Seraphine, she sees her mother give a little bit of the shade magic, I assume, we're not certain, to a cat, and this cat becomes a massive monster that her mother needs to escape from. And when Seraphine confronts her mother about it, her mother completely denies it. And a couple of months later, Seraphine, on her way back home from her work in the fields, stumbles upon a fire in which her mother is burning. And when she goes into the house to rescue her, there is a man standing above her, and it is a member of the Dagger Guild, and he looks at her and then walks out. From then on, our main character has to go on the run and seek help from the cloaks, because the cloaks and the daggers, they don't really like each other. They're kind of at odds with each other, and basically she knows that if she gets the safety from the cloaks, she's going to be able to defend herself against the daggers. We also meet the male main character, Ransom, who is obviously a member of the Dagger clan, and he's kind of like this licensed killer on the job to hunt her and kill her. So it's pretty interesting. I don't know what he's going to do, because they've actually met by mistake one day when Ransom was actually on the job trying to spy on her. He saw that she dropped a music box and he reached out to give it to her, and they spoke. So they've actually met each other, which he's not supposed to do. He's never supposed to talk and engage with the subject of his mission. So something is bound to happen, you know. I think he's starting to feel a little bit of warmth towards her, and I think he's going to struggle with trying to kill her. He's probably not going to want to do it. Anyway, let's make some coffee and let's continue reading. After her mother's murder, Seraphine obviously develops this grudge towards the daggers because They're the ones that caused her mother's death and basically came for her for whatever reason. But as she goes to the cloaks, she also has to prove herself. So within the first couple of weeks, she starts training because she knows that she will have to go on this mission to prove herself to the cloaks and prove her worth of thievery, basically prove that she can be a part of this guild and be useful. When she first came to the cloaks, she actually concealed who she was because her mother was a smuggler that was really famous. And upon her new boss finding out who her real mother is and who she really is, she starts finding out some things that she has repressed about her mother. Her mother was very cunning and clever, and she always experimented with different things. She experimented with plants and powders, so she now starts doubting whether her mom was completely innocent or if she did something a little bit dumb and tried to cross people that she shouldn't have crossed. As all of this is happening and she tries to unravel the secrets that her mother has left behind, the underworld is also going through tough times as there seems to be rumblings about monsters coming out of the shadows and basically hunting down people. There ends up being a dead cloak and a very revered person that was guarded by the daggers dead, and it seems like both the guilds are going to be at war. So the times are going to be very strained because she's coming into this house trying to make herself a new life, but obviously there is some other things at stake at the moment, so it's probably going to be a rough ride. Guys, I was kind of opposed to this because it felt so forced, but I don't think I'm opposed anymore. This is getting too good. They have really good banter, actually. I wasn't expecting this. Like, I actually wrote this book off and I thought I wouldn't like it. So as the monsters are running rampage on the city, the leaders of the two rivaling guilds have to take pause on the rivalry and make a truce to find out what the monsters are and how they can defeat them, because if they don't defeat them, then obviously there's a bigger evil than both of them in the city, and that can't happen. They have this truce and they promise each other that they're gonna capture one of the monsters and hopefully study it and find out how it's made, what it is, what's it made of, is it from shade, is it not from shade, and if they can figure out how to defeat them. Obviously both of our main characters, Ransom and Seraphine, their hatred is growing. However, Seraphine has something that Ransom really wants, something that is the answer to his troubles and his issue with his life, and may be the answer to his escape from this life and escape of his soul. So he takes pause on trying to kill her. He's trying to figure out how to get her to trust him, because obviously he tried to kill her before, and then also she tried to kill him as well. And as all of this is happening, they both start feeling conflicting emotions towards each other, you know what I mean. They're kind of trying to figure out what that means for each of them. They haven't really confessed that to each other, but it is a little bit awkward since he has to kill her because of the leader of his guild told him, and if he doesn't kill her, he's gonna get kicked out, and he doesn't have anything else in his life. He can't risk getting thrown out, so. Oh, I wasn't expecting this. As more secrets unravel and the fate of the city is at risk, Ransom's and Seraphine's destinies collide and intertwine. They have to decide what is really important to them and what they are willing to risk. I absolutely loved the aspect of fantasy in this book. I thought it was really well done, and I loved the magic system. I loved that the magic was available to select few that had to decide for themselves whether its power is worth the consequences. We have this dark and gloomy medieval world that kind of reminded me of the Six of Crows world, filled with shadows and dangers. You couldn't truly trust anyone. I really enjoyed the plot, and I thought it was really intriguing, and I kept finding myself wanting to find out what's going to happen to our main characters, especially Seraphine. I think she went through so much, and I absolutely love the mystery surrounding her mother's death and her life. But I do wish the romance aspect was done a bit better or differently. I feel like we lacked emotional connection between these characters, and I think we replaced the emotional connection with physical connection. As much as I like banter and tension, I feel like we can't replace the emotional depth I am seeking in these characters and how they connect to each other, obviously. I did really like the vengeance and power and seeking revenge on the enemies of the past. I really liked how our main character Seraphine developed. I feel like we got to know her from her life before she knew about the secrets surrounding her mother throughout this whole journey of trying to avenge her death. And I think she has grown so much, and we saw her through all of that. She has trained to fight. She also has shown curiosity about shade and what it can do, and I just thought it was really interesting. However, I didn't like that this book was marketed as YA, young adult, because it has explicit scenes. And honestly, I picked this book up because I didn't really want any explicit scenes. I don't have anything against spice. I do really like it sometimes, but this is a young adult book aimed at younger audiences, and I don't think it should have been marketed as that, because I think it gives more of a new adult with the vibes. However, the writing definitely was not at the new adult level. I don't know if the premise of the book and the plot came first or the romance aspect. I don't know what it was built on, and I don't know whether they should have either leaned into the romance aspect more and marketed it as adult fantasy and just worked on the writing, or if they should have just maybe scaled down on the romance part. I think this is kind of an issue I have with general romantasy. I feel like we are lacking that depth of emotions, sometimes replacing it with the physicality of it, and I think that's just the issue of the genre. I did really think that everything was served to us on a silver platter. We didn't really have to work for anything. We didn't have to connect dots by ourselves, really. I think all the mysteries were very obvious because everything was really explained, maybe over-explained. And I think another thing about romantasies is that it is now ruled by tropes. I think we have this idea of enemies to lovers and having to deliver that, but sometimes it just feels forced. Sometimes it's just a bit too obvious as well, with the fact that they're going to end up together, because the book is called The Dagger and the Flame. There is nothing hiding the fact that they're gonna get together, and I think that's just another problem I had with it. But as I was reading throughout, I did really find myself intrigued and obviously wanting to continue the story. I think, like I said before, the plot is really cool, but I couldn't decide what I thought of the writing style. On one side, it's nice that it's a bit easier to understand, but I also felt like the author had no trust in us as the readers to understand complex history, magic systems, the hierarchies, and the inner workings of the world without literally spelling it out to us, which is why I think I'm going to give this book 3 stars, mainly because I think it couldn't decide between being adult and young adult, which to me just didn't read that well, even though I really liked the plot. I did really like the ending, and I thought it was really interesting, and so maybe one day I will continue this story, But for now, I think I'm going to let it rest. I don't know if I'm fully giving up on romantasy just yet, but I think that will be all for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!